I don't give monkeys. That's the way I play. If you don't like it, tough. I'm going to do him next time.
I don't like it. Simple.
I'll smash him.
He might be one of the most flamboyant faces in darts, but behind the wild hair and flashy outfits, Peter Wright has a reputation for something far more intense: drama. Over the years, he's clashed with rivals, sparked controversies, and walked off the stage with more than just wins. He's left a trail of feuds in his wake, and some of them, they got downright personal. Peter Wright and Michael van Gerwen have long been at odds, their rivalry fueled by contrasting personalities and on-stage antics. Wright's flamboyant showmanship often clashes with van Gerwen's intense focus, leading to several notable confrontations over the years. Their tension was evident during the 2014 Premier League darts in Dublin, where Wright's engagement with the crowd mid-leg irritated van Gerwen, who accused him of being out of order and unprofessional. Wright defended his actions, emphasizing the importance of entertaining fans and dismissing van Gerwen's criticisms. This exchange set the tone for their future encounters. The rivalry escalated in 2015 during a Premier League match in Exeter, which ended in a 6-6 draw. Wright's crowd interactions once again drew van Gerwen's ire. After the match, van Gerwen criticized Wright's behavior, stating, "What that guy does is nothing to do with darts. I'm here to play darts." Wright retorted by calling van Gerwen a big baby and reaffirmed his commitment to entertaining the audience. Despite their heated exchanges, the two have managed to maintain a level of professional respect. Wright later mentioned that they had cleared the air talks, stating, "Michael and I are fine. We spoke and there's no problem at all." However, the competitive fire between them remains, making their matches must-watch events for darts fans. In 2024, their rivalry flared up again during the World Darts Championship. After Wright suggested that Callan Rids should be considered the favorite against van Gerwen responded sharply in a live TV interview, saying, "Every year at the Worlds he talks so much nonsense. He's always allowed to talk cup. No one takes him seriously on the tour as well, because he's not allowed an opinion at home as well."
Well, I think about what Peter Wright says. Yeah, Peter Wright. Every year the Worlds he talks so much nonsense, do you know what I mean? Peter Wright, yeah. He's always allowed to talk, you know what I mean? No one takes him serious on the tour as well, because he's not allowed the opinion at home as well, you know what I mean?
This comment not only reignited their feud, but also added a personal dimension to their ongoing conflict. But for Wright, this wasn't the only time his antics sparked outrage on the big stage. When Peter Wright met Gerwen Price in the 2020 World Championship semi-final, most fans expected fireworks, but no one predicted just how personal things would get. What started as a high-stakes match quickly turned into a psychological war zone. From the very first few legs, Wright was already getting under Price's skin. He slowed the pace, made little gestures, whispered comments during walks to the board. All subtle, but all strategic. Price, known for his explosive energy and no-nonsense attitude, started to lose his cool. You could see it in his body language. The usual confidence? Gone. Replaced by confusion and irritation. And then came the boiling point, a missed double, a sarcastic smirk, and no handshake when the match ended. Price didn't hide how he felt. He went straight to social media, calling out Wright for his gamesmanship and making it clear he felt disrespected. It wasn't just about losing, it was about being messed with it. The backlash was immediate. Wright's camp claimed it was all just part of the sport. Mind games are nothing new. But Price wasn't buying it. The tension between the two stretched far beyond the hockey. With darts fans split down the middle, was Wright playing smart, or was he crossing the line? Though both eventually offered public apologies, the damage was done. The feud left a mark, and to this day, whenever these two face off, there's an unmistakable edge in the air. But this wasn't the only time Wright's behavior sent shockwaves through the darting world. The next one turned downright ugly. If darts had a reality TV moment, this was it. During the Players' Championship Finals 2021, Peter Wright and Adrian Lewis clashed in one of the most dramatic and chaotic incidents of their careers, and it all unraveled in real time, in front of a stunned crowd. The tension began before the match even got going. According to Lewis, Wright was muttering things during warm-up, trying to throw him off. Then, mid-match, Wright allegedly made a series of sarcastic comments that pushed Lewis over the edge. At one point, Lewis stopped, walked straight up to Wright, and confronted him face-to-face. No filters, No cameras avoided it. It was pure drama. What happened next was even messier. After the match, Wright's wife took to social media, claiming Lewis was the one acting out of line. Lewis fired back. Fans jumped in. Wright's manager issued a statement defending Peter, and the situation spiraled from a player feud to a full-on PR nightmare. But the real shock came shortly after. Wright pulled out of the World Cup of Darts, choosing not to represent Scotland alongside Gary Anderson. Though he never said it outright, many believe the backlash from the Lewis incident played a huge part in that decision. What was once just an on-stage disagreement exploded into one of the most personal fallouts of Wright's entire career. And even now, Lewis and Wright rarely share a stage without the memory of that night hanging in the air. But the next feud? It wasn't loud or dramatic, it was psychological. And Wright knew exactly what he was doing. Sometimes the loudest battles are the ones with no shouting at all. That was the case between Peter Wright and Luke Humphries during the 2025 World Darts Championship. A clash that didn't explode publicly, but boiled beneath the surface. It started quietly. Before their match, Wright dropped a few cryptic comments in interviews. Nothing outright hostile, just enough to stir the pot. He hinted that some players were overhyped and wouldn't handle the pressure when it really counted. No names were mentioned, but fans instantly connected the dots. It was aimed at Luke Humphries, the rising star who had been dominating the circuit and was tipped as a future champion.
Luke Humphries and Luke Littler that drives me on, because I know I can still compete with them. You know, what I'm doing in practice, I can compete with these guys and actually be better than them. And I'm 54, coming up 55 next year in March, so...
Humphries didn't take it lightly. In his own interview, he fired back, accusing Wright of trying to play old-school mind games. He said he respected Peter as a player, but wouldn't fall for the psychological tricks. But when the match actually started, things changed. Humphries looked rattled. Wright, calm as ever, stayed just one step ahead, grinning, shaking his head, and letting the crowd feed the tension.
Yeah, it's just, I think Peter loves to play the mind games, but it don't work with me.
By the end of it, Wright had pulled off the upset and knocked Humphries out of the tournament. But instead of celebrating, he played it cool, like the whole thing had gone exactly to plan. Fans were divided again. Some called Wright a master tactician. Others said he was manipulative and desperate. But one thing was clear. The snakebite mind games hadn't lost their edge. And for Humphries, it was a lesson in experience that hit hard. But Peter didn't just aim his barbs at rivals. Sometimes, even casual jokes hit deeper than expected, especially when they were aimed at someone like Michael Smith. What looked like a throwaway joke ended up turning into one of Peter Wright's most controversial moments. After Michael Smith and his partner won a tight match in the World Cup of Darts, Wright stepped up for a post-game interview, and with a smirk, he said one line that set everything off. "I don't know how your shoulders feel after carrying him." It was meant to be cheeky, maybe even funny. But Smith didn't laugh. In fact, he was furious. The comment suggested his teammate had done all the work, and Smith, a world-class player in his own right, wasn't going to let that slide. He clapped back hard, saying he didn't need anyone's validation and that Wright was just bitter. The darts community lit up overnight. Some fans defended Peter, calling it classic banter. Others saw it as a cheap shot, especially coming from a veteran like Wright. And Smith? He used it as fuel. He went on a tear in the next few tournaments, silencing critics and proving he didn't need anyone carrying him. After one victory, he even slipped in a line of his own. No shoulders needed. A not-so-subtle dig right back at Wright. To make matters worse, people started questioning Wright's form. Commentators noted that he hadn't been playing like his old self. Fans on social media said the snakebite era was over. And whether that's true or not, Wright had to watch as his own joke became a rallying cry for someone else's comeback. But Peter's most surprising feud? It wasn't with a rival. It was with a fellow Scot, and it nearly destroyed their team. Peter Wright and Gary Anderson were supposed to be Scotland's dream team. Two legends, two world champions, and for a while, they were exactly that, teaming up to win the World Cup of Darts and representing their country with pride. But behind the scenes, things weren't nearly as united as they looked. Rumors started swirling after Wright unexpectedly pulled out of representing Scotland in the following year's World Cup. The official reason? Personal reasons. But darts insiders and longtime fans knew there was more to the story. According to reports, the real issue was tension between Wright and Anderson. And it wasn't just about darts. There were whispers of clashes involving their management teams, offstage disagreements, and even personal drama that extended beyond the sport. Wright's wife, who also plays a major role in his career, was reportedly involved in some of the disputes. Anderson, known for being more private and laid back, didn't appreciate the media circus or the distractions. The partnership fell apart quietly, but the message was loud. Two Scottish greats who had once stood shoulder to shoulder were now on completely different paths. And while neither of them aired the full story in public, you could feel the distance whenever their names were mentioned together. It was a breakup that caught fans off guard, not because of how loud it was, but because of how much potential it wasted. They could have been a dynasty. Instead, they became a headline. But even with all the drama, mind games, and broken alliances, Peter Wright's legacy isn't just about conflict. It's about the chaos he brings to the game and how it keeps everyone watching. In the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, Peter Wright extended a generous hand to fellow darts player Dimitri van den Bergh, inviting him to stay at his home in Suffolk due to travel restrictions. During this period, their bond strengthened as they practiced together and shared daily routines, with van den Bergh even assisting with household tasks. However, their camaraderie began to wane over time. The turning point came during the 2022 World Match Play, where van den Bergh secured a 16-14 victory over Wright. Post-match, Wright's response was notably cold, offering only a terse handshake. Van den Bergh expressed his confusion and disappointment, stating, "I think it's all a bit weird. It has come about since my victory at the World Match Play. God knows why." The once close relationship deteriorated further, with van den Bergh noting that they no longer spoke. He remarked, "I don't spend my time with people who suddenly have no respect for me anymore." Wright, on his part, addressed the situation by saying, "It wasn't nothing towards Dimitri. I was more disappointed in myself." Despite this clarification, the rift between the two remained, highlighting how quickly relationships can change in the competitive world of professional darts. Peter Wright might be remembered for his colorful hair, wild outfits, and flashy walk-ons, but underneath all that, he's a competitor who plays the game with fire. He's not afraid to speak his mind, bend the rules of sportsmanship, or stir up drama if it gives him an edge. And over the years, that's left him with a trail of rivals, some bruised egos, some broken friendships, and more than a few unforgettable moments. But that's what makes Wright different. Love him or hate him, he refuses to play it safe. He brings chaos to the calm, emotion to the numbers, and controversy to a sport that doesn't always get headlines. Whether these feuds were born from genuine hate or just the heat of competition, one thing is clear: Peter Wright doesn't just play darts, he shakes it up. And for better or worse, that's exactly why people can't stop watching.